Welcome to 13 Reasons to Try. I'm Louise Parker, award-winning designer turned radio presenter, and this is the podcast where we talk about resilience, reinvention, and chasing those big, scary dreams. You're here for a reason, aren't you? You got that little voice inside telling you there's more waiting for you. Even if you're not sure what it is yet. I've been there too. And trust me, if I can take the leap, so can you. So this podcast is your sign to go for it. Today, I'm sharing my story. It's totally scary. How I built a business from the ground up, walked away from it when it no longer felt right, and landed a career I only dreamed of as a kid. It's raw, it's real, and if I'm honest, it's a little terrifying sharing it with you. But that's what makes it worth it, right? Let's dive in. So growing up, I had two dreams. One was interior design and the other one was radio presenting. So my hairbrush was a microphone and I'd spend hours imagining my very own radio show. But all I really had was a fake microphone, a boombox, and my dad's aunt's phone machine from his home office. I think he was appalled when he went in the next morning and found these one-sided conversations because I'm an only child. I wanted to record with people, but guests are hard to come by. So it had to just be me, especially when you want to record with Busted. I don't think Busted are going to be on a 10-year-old's fake radio show, are they? So I recorded the other side of the conversation and then played it, and then off we went. That was my radio show. But as my family was already in construction, design felt like the practical choice. And don't get me wrong, I totally threw myself into it. Full force. School, college, university, you know the drill. And then I built my business, Studio Gabrielle, from the ground up. I had no investment, no help whatsoever. It was literally just me. And that didn't really change. Never had any employees. It was literally just me. So it was my firstborn, and for years, it was everything to me, and it was everything I'd ever dreamed of. It was totally glitz and glamour. It's everything you would expect from interior design. The champagne, some celebrities, won't know any names, but pretty cool. But unfortunately, that glitz and glamour is only great for so long because something shifted in me completely. So let's fast forward to September last year. I was completely burnt out. This has been happening for a couple of years now, but it got to a point where I was totally uninspired and I was honestly done. Like done with design, done with my business, and done with chasing something that no longer felt like it was mine. I didn't know what was next, and that is really scary when you know you're done with something, but you're like, what the hell am I going to do now? Having that freedom to choose anything is also really scary and overwhelming, but I knew that I needed to make space for what was next. So one night I had a dream, a literal physical dream about being a radio presenter. And when I woke up, it felt like someone had lit a fire under my arse. And that is the kind of fire that's totally impossible to ignore, isn't it? I didn't overthink it, I just acted. I am very lucky to have a very inspiring mate called John. And he's a radio presenter. So when I was studying architecture at university, he was studying radio production, and I followed his whole career. So he started on Demon FM, which was our university radio show. Then he went on to Radio 1, then Virgin Radio, and now on Talk Sport. He's killing it, absolutely killing it. So he was the first person I messaged. And then I sent out a bunch of emails to local stations in my area, not expecting anyone to respond at all. And guess what? They bloody did, didn't they? They bloody did. So the wonderful Jules from RWSFM, fast forward to a year, here I am. I've actually now got my own show on that station, RWSFM 103.3. I've been interviewed on the BBC now, on BBC Radio Suffolk with Conor Bennett, and now I'm launching this podcast, so it's pretty exciting. Don't get me wrong, it is terrifying, but, you just got to go for it. The lesson is, when something feels right, when it grabs you, it shakes you, sets a fire under your ass, you've got to jump in with everything you've got, even if it's messy, even if it's terrifying. A dream will never come to you fully formed. It will grow with you as you do, and that's something that I've learned when I started as an interior designer. I wanted everything now. And I didn't really learn what I needed to very early on. And perfectionism is the killer of dreams. It really is. Now I'm learning that even now. And I'm sort of implementing my learnings from the past to now, that even things like this podcast, the audio, things like that, that's all things that I'm learning. And if you just worry about perfectionism and everything being perfect, you will never start that dream. So you just got to go for it. And you're going to make loads of mistakes, but that is the fun of it. So starting over hasn't been easy, obviously, but I didn't realise quite how difficult it would be walking away from a business that I built myself from scratch. It's kind of been one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, because it kind of felt like giving up part of my identity. So Studio Gabrielle was actually my middle name, and Gabrielle was an identity that I started to form. Gabrielle was cool and confident. She's just a badass, really. And that's how everyone saw me in this business. And I'm like, if I walk away from that, I've lost all of that. The good part about being a business owner is you have these glamorous photo shoots for press, etc., using photos on your website. But now I'm doing all this podcast and radio stuff. They need headshots. So I still get to do all of that, which is great. So what I've learned is reinvention doesn't mean abandoning who you were. It means taking all of those lessons, all of that experience, and using them to build something new. And that is the luxury that you've got. You can take anything that you've done in the past, wrap it up in a new bundle, and use it to build something new. Like, beautiful. It's like recycling. So this podcast isn't just about sharing my story. Gosh, that would be boring. And I want to hear other people's stories. I love you guys. I've got some amazing mates and amazing people that I know, and I'm going to be sharing their stories. It's all about inspiring you to take a chance on your story, your dream. It doesn't matter if the dream is old or new, big or small. All that matters is that you try. And that brings me to today's first reason to try. You ready for it? My reason to try is it's never too late to rewrite the script. So if you've made it this far, you're probably enjoying the 13 Reasons to Try podcast. If you want us to continue to make even more amazing content and bring some more incredible guests to you, you can buy me a coffee. Buy Me a Coffee is a simple, free, donation-based tool. Head to buymeacoffee.com/13 Reasons to Try. So I hope my story reminds you that anything is possible if you're willing to take that leap. So that dream you've been sitting on, dust it off your shoulders, brush it off. Start small, send that email, make that call, buy that microphone, as I did. So whatever your version of jumping in looks like, the great thing about starting again, starting that dream, is you've got nothing to lose. When I think about the business, I built that for 10 years, a career for 10 years. There was a lot to lose with that. Whereas when you're starting something new, you've got nothing to lose. You're starting from ground zero. So just go for it. So it's now time for my favourite question. What is your reason to try? Have a little think about that. If you're just driving along in your car, doing a commute to work, or even just the kids in the background, just have a little think for the rest of the day. What is your reason to try? So for me, it's about proving that dreams don't expire. The dreams don't expire at all. They're just waiting for you to be ready. Whether you're 18, you've just turned 30, 60, I've had 60s and 30, by the way, or even 90, who cares? They're just waiting for you to be ready whenever that is. So thank you so much for listening to this first ever episode of 13 Reasons to Try. If you haven't guessed it, at the end of every episode, you'll have one reason to try. There'll be 13 episodes per series, and then by the end of it, you'll have 13 reasons to try. So if you've loved it, hit subscribe, leave us a little review, and share this episode with someone you think who needs to hear it today. Follow the pod on Instagram at 13 Reasons to Try, or me at Louise in Suffolk, for updates, behind the scenes moments, and sneak peeks of what's coming next. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, there's always a reason to try.